I want to make this very clear. I do not hate any. I hate Jimmy Dore. Like, that's clear. I'm gonna be upfront about that. I despise Jimmy Dore. But I do not hate. Let me just put the clip up. This is what I'm gonna be covering. All right. So, Briahna Joy Gray 2 days ago posted this clip with Andrea Yang, and again, I do not hate either of these people, and I want that to be very, very clear. That I do not hate either of these people. However, this clip I think is slightly problematic, because it is posted with like the idea Andrea Yang is endorsing #ForceTheVote, and Andrea Yang gives like a 5-second, oh, this sounds like a decent idea, and I want you to watch this clip. And again, I don't hate either of these people, right? But I do think that there is some very problematic things going on in the leftist media and podcasting space, especially when it comes to the force the vote thing. So I want that to be very clear, and this is a constructive criticism, okay? And I want that to be clear. I do not hate either of these people. And again, I'm the only reason I'm trying to foreground this and underscore this so much is because whenever I talk about this subject, I get a fucking flock of fanboys saying that I'm like a tone policer and that I'm an SJW, like anti-Medicare. Like, I want to be very explicit about that. So let's watch this clip here, and then I will judge it live on stream. Just kidding. All right.
Could say
yes, force the vote. Let's talk about force the vote.
Force the vote. So they
damn, that's loud. Can we talk about like holy shit?
Make it so that Nancy Pelosi can't be Speaker of the House unless she concedes to certain demands. And what the main demand that's being pushed right now is that she have a floor vote on Medicare for all. And the idea being not because there's a high likelihood that we would win, that the House would pass Medicare for all. There are only 118 co-sponsors in the House. Now, Democrats have a majority, and if every Democrat in the House voted for Medicare for all, we could pass Medicare for all. And I think we should reflect on what it means that all the House Democrats wouldn't pass Medicare for all in the middle of a global pandemic.
So, one of the things that I want to talk about this here is, wouldn't it be great if the House passed Medicare for all? Abso-fucking-lutely. You know what the House passed a couple years ago? $15 minimum wage. You know what the House passed? Equal Rights Act. You know what happened to those? They died in the Senate. Right? So, this is, like, I just don't, like, this is a step one process. These people, and when I say these people, I'm referring to people in favor of force the vote, and Briahna Joy Gray has been running on this train, a little bit awkwardly, and she's, I think, she's doing cover for the Jimmy Dore and the idea itself, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit. But the idea here is that, okay, we're going to force the vote. Now, even if, right, best case scenario, like literally the best case scenario is that it passes the House. It's not going to pass the Senate. Joe Biden has said he would veto Medicare for all. If this happens now, Trump would certainly veto Medicare for all. Right? So the idea that they are, like, these people are not being honest about what's going on here, I think is problematic. Now, another thing about this, again, remember the Equal Rights Act, remember $15 minimum wage, remember, like, all the, like, criminal justice reform, remember, like, the HEROES Act, all these things that the House passed, right? Does anyone know about them? No. Does anyone have any idea what the fuck they are? No. Why? Because they died in the Senate. Right, so again, if the House passed Medicare for all, the best case scenario would be the House passing Medicare for all is the best case scenario. Right, it's not going to pass the Senate right now. That's why I think if this is your thing, if force the vote is your thing, you should be primarily focused on the Georgia Senate runoffs, in my opinion. Now, first of all, force the vote is not my thing. So I'll cover the Georgia Senate runoffs every now and then if something funny pops up. But I think the most important thing you could do if you want Medicare for all, if you want to force the vote, if you want this to happen, the most important thing is making sure that 2 Republican senators get ousted on January 5th, in my opinion. So let's continue.
That's a real, I think, indictment of our politics right now. But, there's a lot of people are pushing back against the idea, saying, well, you're not going to win anyway, so what's the point? And it's all performative. Well, for a lot of us, especially on the left, if you don't do something that can grab attention, if you don't do something performative, if you don't do the Cupid shuffle, if you don't figure out a way to marry the performative and the substantive. To say force the vote and let's hold up Nancy Pelosi's speakership. Let's threaten Nancy Pelosi, who obviously politically, because she is one of the least liked. Her favorabilities are worse than Trump. 3/4 of Americans think she should step down. Let's make her the center of the story.
See, now again, I agree with this analysis. However, this analysis relies on the hypothetical scenario that left-wing media could control a narrative around a Medicare for All floor vote. Now, again, I like Brie, right? And I want to be very explicit about that. She was the press secretary for Bernie Sanders' campaign. In the last couple weeks before the Bernie campaign died, March 15th, right? The last couple weeks, Briahna Joy Gray, and again, I like her, and I'm, again, constructive feedback here. She was getting in Twitter fights, and she kind of just let the media talk about Castro over and over again, and she had no input on national press around the story in any capacity. Now, am I to say that it's Briahna Joy Gray's fault? Absolutely not. The deck is stacked against us, is my point here. Now, am I saying that someone better could have been in that position? Possibly. That's a hypothetical. What I am saying is that if we can't control the narrative, having won the 3 first primaries in the Democratic primary process, and the mainstream media surrounded Bernie and just destroyed him in the final weeks, the Bernie campaign had such incredible momentum, and it was stunted overnight by mainstream media and Barack Obama, right? So what makes you think that that's not going to happen again? And that's my problem with this, is it's more likely that if this occurs, we will lose, and Medicare for All will lose popularity. That is more likely, especially if Jimmy Dore and Nico House are the ones in charge of running for it. And again, I don't hate these people. I don't, but let's...
And also wet it with some substantive policy goals. Let's get Richard Neal out of the Ways and Means Committee because he's going to block Medicare for All. Let's get rid of PayGo because that stands in the way of us being able to get all kinds of big ticket items that PayGo requires you to fund them as you go along, and it makes it very difficult. We kind of put those things together because the average American doesn't want to hear a bunch of wonkery about PayGo, but they might be interested in Nancy Pelosi. Right? And vice versa. And you got to learn how to do a stunt, how to figure out how to exploit the system, which is very...
Now, I just want to say, as Briahna Joy Gray is doing this hypothetical force the vote scenario, by the way, it's not happening. The deadline's approaching. But as she has spent the last 3 weeks doing this hypothetical scenario where we could force the vote and win the world, Bernie Sanders has been actually putting in effort to get $2,000 stimulus checks passed. So, again, everything that she is saying we need to do around force the vote is what Bernie is doing, and the force the vote crew hates Bernie. Jimmy Dore goes on a show and says Bernie sucks all the damn time, right? And that's why I think this is a problematic alliance. Now, I want to finish this clip, and then I'm going to go into some other problematic things.
Biased against the interest of the left, biased against the interest of working people.
I like the idea of forcing the vote. I mean, you should be able to vote on a policy that a lot of people support, and if you're not for it, then you don't vote for it, and then we know, or
This is I just want to say, this whole clip is about Andrea Yang endorsing force the vote, and this is the most tepid, it's a decent idea, I guess, right? By the way, this is a really good freeze frame. Oh my god, that has to be the thumbnail. I'm sorry, Brie, that has to be the thumbnail.
Working people.
I like the idea of forcing the vote. I mean, you should be able to vote on a policy that a lot of people support, and if you're not for it, then you don't vote for it, and then we know, or I mean, it's it shouldn't be that controversial in my mind.
Yeah, me either.
Well,
now again, is that the stunning endorsement? Andrew Yang says he's into the idea. Now it's again, this is the clip that she is choosing to post. This is an editorial decision, and that's why I'm focusing on the clip. Now again, the full interview could have different context. Absolutely. But Brie made an editorial decision to make a tweet that says Andrew Yang is into force the vote, and then this is the thing that's included in the clip. So I think he's saying, yeah, it's a decent idea, but Also, he doesn't really understand the mechanisms of the idea, right? He's also not really even saying he's for it. He's just saying he's for the like ideas like that in general, right? It's a very tepid endorsement. Now, I just want to be very, very clear, and you can disagree with me, and you're allowed to disagree with me, okay? I just want to make this very clear. I am not trying to cancel Brie in any capacity. Now, I am criticizing her because I think what she is doing is problematic. Now, here's another thing that I saw. And so, again, I'm just tacking this on. So, Nico House is going to be doing a March on Washington idea. Which, by the way, I want to say this is my idea. So, Nico, unblock me on Twitter and give me credit for this idea. This is my idea. 2 weeks is all that came up. All that I needed to come up with this idea, 2 weeks. And Nico House stole it. But, so, I want to say Nico House is a transphobe. He blocked me because I asked him to retract his very transphobic tweets about biological males. I asked him to retract that. He blocked me. Didn't respond, just blocked me. So, the idea that Brie is going to be using Nico House as an ally, I think that is very, very problematic. Now, again, another person on this list is Fiorella which, yes, this is the person I'm thinking of. This person, Fiorella fucking Isabel, this person right here, has, now I don't have the tweet on me right now, so I'm sorry. If you want, I can look it up. Actually, I'm just going to look it up just to be clear. So give me a second. This person that is also going to be joining, and again, I'm not trying to say guilt by association. I'm not trying to do this. I'm just saying I think that this is a very problematic coalition. This person has said that Joe Biden stole the election. And I want to be very clear about that. So I just looked up fraud on this person's Twitter. This is who Brie and Nico House are coalescing with, and these are only the people I know. I don't know the other people. This isn't about claims, but facts. If you're expecting an article in the CIA-friendly Intercept or NYT about election fraud on a massive level, you're not really understanding what's happening here. You act like this is our claim. Election fraud has been apparent for decades. Everyone talks about the machines, the analogies. You should, though, because it's done the same way. We showed the video breakdown of Texas that you mentioned compared to the general. Election fraud is wrong no matter who does it and for whom. If you're reporting as Bernie was cheated in the primary, but suddenly Dems stopped rigging elections in the general and haven't... So, again, this person is promoting Trumpist conspiracy theories on their Twitter page. And now, again, am I saying that Brie is canceled because she's coalescing with these people? 2 transphobic Tulsi Gabbard supporters, one of which I think Nico might be on the election fraud bandwagon. I'm not sure. I remember people saying he was, but I'm blocked from his page, so I can't look it up real quick. But 2 of these people that are involved in this are very, very, very bad, and I don't know who the other people are. So I want to say Brie making these problematic alliances. Jimmy Dore makes transphobic jokes, mocks women of color, says Bernie Sanders is evil, right? Nico House supported Tulsi Gabbard, says her bill was not transphobic, refers to trans women as biological males, blocked me for asking him about it. Fiorella I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her name, believes that the election was stolen, Donald Trump is the real winner, etc., etc. These people, I'm sorry, this is not an alliance that I can endorse. Now, another thing that I have to be clear, I am not trying to cancel Brie, but this is also extraordinarily problematic. So, yesterday on my show, I covered this tweet. Samira Khan calling AOC a, quote, fucking bitch because she liked a tweet of someone talking about her. I shit you not. And so yesterday, I looked at the likes for this tweet to just, I like doing that, right? Because this tweet is about Briahna, or this tweet is about AOC liking a tweet. So it's clearly unhinged. So I decided, let me see who liked this tweet, and then I can play the same game, and they can't come after me for being unhinged, because that's the thing that they're endorsing. So yesterday, Briahna Joy Gray liked that tweet, and I took a screenshot of it. Right, and you can see Mr. Ranger and Juniper Rose right there. This morning, I was getting the list open. Look, mysteriously, Briahna Joy Gray has unliked the tweet. So I just want to say that's very interesting. So that's extremely interesting that Briahna Joy Gray is associating with folks like Samira Khan, folks like Fiorella Isabel, folks like Nico House, folks like Jimmy Dore, right? And I just find that extremely problematic. These are people, again, Nico, Fiorella, they do not like transgender people. So, again, I've been saying we should march on Washington. I've been saying I want to occupy D.C. You know what? If this was the occupation, right, that let's say I lived near, I would feel uncomfortable being around these people, right? And that's my point, is we need to build a coalition that does not make people uncomfortable. I don't want to be around someone like Nico House. Now, let's be honest, right? If I had some backup, if I had like a couple people, right, I would totally get in his phone and do like the thing with the phone. Hey, Nico, how's it going? I would totally do that, right? But my point here is, again, I'm not trying to cancel Brie, but it is a fair criticism to judge people by the company that they keep. And over the last 3 weeks, Briahna Joy Gray has decided to fracture the left with this force to vote thing, decided to prop up Jimmy Dore, who is a transphobe and who doesn't even like Medicare for All. He didn't endorse it 8 months ago, right? So it's like, okay, interesting. And then also coalesce with people who believe that Trump is the legitimate winner of the election. It's an interesting thing, right? It's very interesting. And again, and I'm not trying to say this to be harsh. I'm not trying to say this is constructive criticism. Briahna Joy Gray was the press secretary for Bernie Sanders, and she was unable to control the media narrative that led to everyone voting for Joe Biden in the primaries over the course of South Carolina to March 15th. She was unable in that 2-week span to control the narrative around Bernie Sanders. And again, maybe she's learned from her mistakes. It's totally possible, right? And I'm open to that. But I am very skeptical of this plan. If Jimmy Dore is involved, if Nico House is involved, if Samira Khan's involved, if Fiorella Isabel is involved, if they're all involved, I'm very skeptical that Briahna is going to be able to shift the media narrative. If you can't shift media narrative while backing the winning presidential candidate, the presidential candidate who is winning, you have literally the biggest microphone, right, on the biggest thing, and you can't shift the media narrative. What makes me, or what makes anyone else think that you're going to be capable of doing so when you don't have that platform? You have your podcast that gets a couple thousand views, and I'm happy about that. But my point is, she's getting too big for her britches, and I think it's dangerous, and I think it's problematic that she is grouping up with these people. Again, I cannot be associated with people who call me a biological man. And if you think that that's like identity politics, I'm sorry, but maybe you should go outside or speak to a woman maybe once in your life, right? Like, imagine if rapists were allowed at the march, at the Women's March, right? You just had a bunch of rapists organize the Women's March. Imagine that. A bunch of women would not feel comfortable going to the Women's March if it were organized by people who are sexually harassing and assaulting women. And to me, right, in my opinion, this is the same thing on this level for trans people. If this march is being organized by people that hate trans people, why should I, a trans person, be interested in it? And again, trans people are some of the most in need of Medicare for All, right? So again, I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to cancel anyone, I'm saying that Briahna Joy Gray is utilizing, and look at this clip, again, editorial decisions to clip things like Andrew Yang is agreeing with Force the Vote when that's a very tepid endorsement, if an endorsement at all, right? She is associating with people like Nico House and Jimmy Dore. I'm sorry, but I am losing a tremendous amount of respect for her, and I hope that when this window closes for Force the Vote, I hope that this is a grift that she goes away from, but I am worried that that is not the case. So that's all. I'm just giving my worries. I'm giving my opinions on the situation. Again, I'm not trying to cancel anyone. This is constructive feedback. And again, who cares what I say, right? Briahna Joy Gray gets fucking 10 times the views I get. She must be right, right? I don't know, maybe. But either way, I think it's it's a bad deal. And where it should have stopped?
And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint, when they thought about it.
That's where it should have stopped. And again, I'm very disappointed in Brie. And I just wanted to talk about that. So, boom.